Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. So, there has been a firestorm of controversy here at the Fox News radio podcast Cubicles, and that is the announcement of People's Sexiest Man Alive. And I have big disagreements with this one for several reasons. One of the issues that was raised by those partaking in the argument was People still has a Sexiest Man Alive list. Who is waiting for that? Maybe your Nana. She's the only one who's like, "Where's People magazine? I need to get it next to my Werther's coffee tablets in order to have a nice lozenge in my purse for 14 years. Oh, is it Mark Harmon again? He's very sexy. What about that Thomas Magnum?" So this year, the sexiest man alive that no one cares about. Because if you're really looking for sexy, you're going to find some French Olympic diver and follow him on OnlyFans. That's real sexy sex right there. Not that I do. I don't have OnlyFans, but I know they do. I know a lot of the Olympians do because now everything is direct to consumer. You don't have to have some glossy, anachronistic rag tell you what sexy is. We know what sexy is, by gum. It's a man with chiseled biceps holding a vacuum cleaner. That is sexy. But here are some of the past winners of the sexiest man alive. I'm not even going to tell you who it is right now because I don't want you to barf up in your lunch bucket quite yet. Chris Hemsworth, yes, he's sexy. And Liam. Was Liam on here? No, Liam hasn't been here for quite some time. Chris Hemsworth, yes, he's sexy. David Beckham, yes, he's talented and attractive. Actually, David Beckham, only one of 5 men who's, 4 men, sexiest man alive who are not actors, including John Legend, Blake Shelton. Neither of those are sexy, sorry. Beckham, yes. Adam Levine. I don't find Adam Levine to be attractive, but I know people do. And I know he finds himself to be a very attractive person because I think he's a bit of a narcissist. His singing voice kind of drives me crazy. And I couldn't pick him out of a handsome lineup. If you lined up a bunch of handsome dudes, I think that I would give the nod to some randos before Adam Levine. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, yes, he's sexy for a number of reasons. One, he is a political centrist. 2, he's in very good shape. He was obviously a professional wrestler as The Rock for a long time now. He's a very funny actor. I loved him as Maui in Moana. So, yes, he's sexy. Blake Shelton, no. John Legend, no. Michael B. Jordan, yes, he is sexy. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is another one. And I guess I'm going to have to tell my Paul Rudd story again. My first roommate out of high school, I moved to Arcadia, California, which is right outside Pasadena, because a friend of mine who went to a neighboring high school, Laura, hey girl, she was going to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and she was a first year. And so you're very lucky if they accepted you into the second year program. If you were a third year, you were such a big deal. And Paul Rudd was a third year student at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts when my roommate Laura was there. So we would go to house parties, and Paul Rudd would be there, and he thought he was so cool. He's like, "I'm Paul." And of course, they wouldn't talk to anyone younger, and I would pester him. And we would talk about music, and he thought his music was better than mine because I worked at K-Rock, KROQ in Los Angeles, which was at the time one of the only alternative radio stations in the country. And he liked Trip Shakespeare. He's like, "Yeah, Trip Shakespeare's awesome. You guys don't play it. You guys suck." So we were at the house party, and I was like, we were just talking. We weren't flirting. We weren't being particularly physical. And I was like, "Do you want to feel my boobs?" And he was like, "Yeah." So Paul Rudd felt my boobs, and we didn't kiss. And then I had to interview him at MTV, and he recognized me, and it was really awkward. And then I saw him a bunch of times, and one time I sat next to him on an airplane, and we talked for 5 hours, again, very awkwardly. And I never asked him to feel my boobs after that. And unless he is now, I guess, a gynecologist, and he's doing it in a clinical setting, I might, but I wouldn't feel good about it. It would still be very embarrassing. But he should not be on the sexiest man alive list, ever.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
Chris Evans, yes, he's Captain America, even though he seems weird, and I think he's ultra, ultra liberal and would probably be super annoying to have a conversation with because I have a feeling he would be very judgmental and equally uninformed. So, but he can still be on the list. Patrick Dempsey. Now, here's one of those, he's a little bit of a wild card because people are like, he's not attractive. He was McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy. He was in Can't Buy Me Love. So he was like a 90s secret heartthrob that was grandfathered in to dramedy sexiness on Grey's. So Patrick Dempsey, yes, he can be there. And also I saw him last year at the F1 race in Las Vegas. And he was kind of cool. He wasn't like the coolest person I've ever met in my life because I had met him before because I interviewed him in the 90s too. Did not ask him to handle the goods because I am a classy and professional lady. Thank you very much. But that was fine. So this year's Sexiest Man Alive does not deserve to be there. It's John Krasinski. He was fine in The Office. He was like the nerdy kind of cute guy that you definitely would have an unrealistic office crush on. I say unrealistic because he's attractive in the context of doughy, very ordinary people that tend to populate offices, not the Fox News podcast cubicles, because it is all man candy here. Just a parade of hot, shirtless dudes. And that's how we like it. We don't have an HR department here, so we can objectify them. And that's why I'm doing this very subject today. John Krasinski is not sexy. He's smart and kind of nerdy and barely handsome, but he is not sexy, and he is certainly not the sexiest man alive. And there are women here in the cubicles who disagree with me. They're willing to die on this hill. And all I have to say is women of all ages and stripes, raise your standards. You do not have to lower your standards. I have seen men in dirty janitorial onesies who are obese and have 15 kids who are more attractive than John Krasinski. Dare I say sexy. First of all, he's not sexy. Second of all, he's not the sexiest man alive. I know this because Brad Pitt is still walking among us. He has not been sexiest man alive since 2000. He's one of only 4 men who have won the formerly prestigious honor twice. Brad Pitt won it twice in 95 and 2000. Should have been 2024 again because he's still wrapped up with that devil woman Angelina Jolie and comports himself with class and kindness. Richard Gere, I saw him in 93 and 99. Saw him a couple weeks ago at the World Series at Yankee Stadium. He was very kind. He has left the venue of sexiness, so he doesn't get it again. George Clooney, absolutely not, because he orchestrated the prison shiv that went into Joe Biden's scapula, and then he was replaced with Kamala Harris, who was a horrible candidate. So no, George Clooney never gets to be on the list again. In fact, like Reggie Bush, I would rescind his Sexiest Man Alive awards from 1997 and 2006, and unlike Reggie Bush, he will never get them back. And Johnny Depp won in 2003 and 2009. Johnny Depp won the trial against Amber Heard and all of our hearts. So at some point, if he sobers up a little bit, gets California sober, and gets his teeth redid, Johnny Depp can be on the list again. But for now, I'm calling an audible, and Brad Pitt is your 2024 sexiest man alive. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You know who you are. Wink! This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.